Okay, so I'm on the ball. Now what? Ugh. Hi, I'm Josh, your American English guide. Today we have another idiom of the week, which is to be on the ball. And of course, this usually doesn't mean that you're actually on top of a ball. So what does this mean and why? Well, first, the meaning. If you are on the ball, it means that you are very alert, very aware, you are paying attention. We can even say you are very knowledgeable about a particular topic, especially if it's something developing like a political situation or an economic situation. This also includes being very active and consistent with trying to reach your goals, meaning that you are putting in a lot of effort every day. So it has this very strong feeling of being very active, very focused on a particular topic or something that's happening. Before we talk about why this means what it means and why we use the preposition on, let's first take a look at some examples. And in today's lesson, we are going to be looking at examples from YouGlish, which is a fantastic English learning resource that you can find a link to in the description.
Who kept our eye on the ball. We prevented future attacks from happening.
We need to do that. Those countries have lower inequality and a higher quality of life than we have, and we need to really get on the ball and wake up to that.
Now, ultimately, our success is going to depend on whether we keep our eye on the ball and maintain the momentum that finally exists today.
Sport by keeping your eye on the ball, knowing what you're aiming at. You should know what you're living for.
People who are really on the ball will divide their time in 1 hour segments.
So we really have to be on the ball every single minute.
During a disaster situation.
And I think that clients really appreciate someone who's on the ball and takes the initiative.
If an antivirus is not immediately on the ball, then the damage is already done.
You got to refocus, keep your eye on the ball, keep building that momentum, and whatever you do, you don't quit.
Be on the ball when it comes to meeting strangers on the streets. Certainly steer away from any kind of a scam.
They were gone within 12 minutes.
Wow.
So you have to really be on the ball for that.
Our students, as much as we'd love them to be on the ball and to have their number one priority of tuning in to watch our webinar or online presentation, that's not necessarily the case. They get distracted by life.
When you're in a kitchen, it's quick, like this all the time, and you've got to be very sharp and on the ball.
All right, let's dive a little bit deeper and look at what's happening under the surface in the mind of a native. First, we'll start with the etymology. According to Idiom Online, the phrase "to keep your eye on the ball," which is another phrase we have, comes from 1907, probably from golf, where it was very frequently given as advice. Right? You are looking at the ball and make sure the entire time as you're going to swing, right, you're not looking up here at the club or anything, you keep your eye on the ball, right, and then you watch it as it flies. So you're focused on the ball, you're paying attention, you are aware of where the ball is going. By 1912, we got the phrase "to be on the ball." In both of these phrases, to keep your eye on the ball and to be on the ball, why do we say on in the first place? Well, to answer that question, we have to go to the logic of the preposition on. If you're not familiar with that, I have some lessons on it that you can check out. But for now, the big main controlling idea behind the preposition on, the logical idea and the core feeling of this preposition, is what I call a positive state or an active state, which are two ways to look at the same thing. In fact, in the logic of the preposition on main lesson, the first lesson, one of the things that we looked at was how English has this prefix a. According to the Etymology Dictionary Online, one of the meanings of this prefix in Old English is on. And this is used in words like aware, asleep, aboard. And we talked about how sometimes very literally and sometimes very abstractly, this has the idea of an active state or a positive state. If you are awake, then it's like your awareness is on, right? You're awake. If you're asleep, it's like your sleeping is on. Okay, that's the active state. So it's very similar to turning a light on or off. And remember what I said the meaning is for this idiom? To be on the ball means that you are very alert. You are paying attention. You are actively focused on something. You are aware of what is going on. So of course, it's just natural for us to use the preposition on in this idiom. That's pretty crazy, right? There are some related phrases connected underneath the surface here in the subconscious mind. Let's take a very quick look at some of those. The first two also use on. You can say, I'm on it, or I'm on top of things, or I'm on top of it. Now for on it, if I ask you to do something and you say, I'm on it, what you're saying is that you're going to do that thing. That's all it is. You're confirming, okay, yes, I am now actively going to do that thing. So it's like that task is now in a positive state. You flip the light switch and now you are doing that thing. On top of things is a little bit different. That means that you are being very responsible. You're actively doing the things that you need to do, that you have to do for whatever it is that you have to do, right? To be successful, to be responsible. So if you are a student and you are on top of things, you make sure that you study, you go to class on time, you're doing things right? You're actively engaged in doing the things that you have to do. You are on top of things. So you can see how to be on it and to be on top of things, although they're not quite the same and they're not quite the same as to be on the ball, they are pretty similar and they all use the preposition on for all of the same reasons. These are just slightly different surface applications, but they're all connected under the surface in the subconscious mind. Another related phrase is to be all over it. I have not made the lesson for the logic of the preposition over, but that is coming in the future, so make sure you subscribe if you're looking forward to that. But one thing that we will learn about the preposition over is that in some cases, it actually has this application that is very similar to being on something, right? If I put my face in the dirt, then I will have dirt on my face, right? It's on the surface of my face. And I can also say I have dirt all over my face. It means the same thing, except on could just be one spot where all over is everything. So if I ask you to do something and you say, I'm all over it, you're telling me, I'm gonna do it, it's gonna be done, don't worry about it. Now we have one more related phrase, which is almost kind of the opposite in a way. It's actually a negative thing, which is to drop the ball. If you tell me that you dropped the ball, it means that you were supposed to do something, right? You had an obligation to do something and you did not. Maybe you forgot, or maybe you got busy with other stuff and you didn't have time, and so you dropped the ball. This is also probably related to sports. Think of American football, right? You have to take the ball and you run with it and you have to score, pass the line to score, right? Well, if you drop the ball, then the other team can pick it up. If you drop the ball, you no longer have the ball. It's no longer active. You're not actively doing it. And so you didn't do the thing that you were supposed to do. So you can see how it's indirect, but we have the same core idea. And now it's time for the challenge of the week. I want you to write an example of to be on the ball. Next week, I will randomly select 3 of your comments and I will directly address them in the lesson and give you any corrections necessary. This challenge will end on September 30th. A very special thanks to our Patreon supporters. Thank you so much for watching another English Hacks lesson. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.